Hi, and welcome to Breakfast with Max. Um, Welcome in the love and light of the one only creator. I'm really happy to have you here, wherever here it is, or it may be. So I was thinking that in order to make this really meaningful and understandable, I have to tell my story and I mean giving you my point of view from you know how did I come here and how did I have this awakening um, to myself as the creator, as a co-creator of my reality. And so because I thought, you know, how can you really understand me if I don't give you a a way to really connect with it and connect with myself, and I need it for myself as well because this is obviously mainly for me as a reminder also because you know we change every moment. We change, we are just you know that way. The way we were the moment before, it was another moment. It passed. And so the first thing that I think one of the first memories I have is that um, I was in my room and a being appeared, and I only remember this being as being it had a form, but it was white, gray, or just a light. And I remember this in various ways. So it just passed through in the room. I watch it. I remember hiding. I remember, no, in many other ways. Which it would, which is like saying that this happened in different ways. But now I know that that encounter was just one among various encounters that we had, and that this being has been with me all my life. Um, and Actually, it's just me remembering it in a certain way, which is the way I allow myself to remember it. And I think that many other people have this kind of memories of this kind of encounters. Then some remember something, and some remember nothing, and some have good memories, some have bad memories, and it depends. And but these beings, for instance, people that say they have imaginary friends, they are not imaginary friends, they're real friends. But um, that's what children mainly say. No, it's grown up they say to children, you have an imaginary friend, but for the child it's a real friend. It's just that the grown up cannot see this imaginary friend. But as reality is, that's the only explanation. And as reality is, so what you cannot see doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. It just means that you cannot see it. Anyway, so that is one of my first memory. Then later on, I had this neighbor, and this neighbor, it happened to be a healer. She could heal, and it happened one day where um, in a place, and I had an accident. I crushed my leg in a on a stone, and I had it, my leg became big, and she during the evening she treated me, and the day after I was running, even though the doctor said that it was not possible, that I had to take 5, 4, 6 pills in order to get better. I never took the pills, and I just, it went away. Yeah, the day after it was gone. I still have the scar in my leg, and that was one of those things. I was there. It was happening. She was doing it, and I was, yeah, confident about what she was doing, but I was told that those things didn't happen. I was told that only God can make miracles, and healing is a miracle. But there it was this woman that was just using her hands and healing. Not possible. Still, she healed me. And then I always remember having this, I had moments where I was alone in my room and asking in my head and receiving answers, or having questions and then having answers, saying, well, the way I move my food, it's the answer. And I always receive an answer, which was not my answer because I was not moving the food. I was not talking. I was not the voice or the answer I was receiving was not me answering it, but I let the answer come to me. Poof. Suddenly you have a thought forming in your head, but you're not thinking it. It just comes to you. And I was able many times to feel what was going to happen, feel which team was going to win, and these kind of things. Always, having this sensitivity, this ability to foresee what was going to happen. But with time going on, passing on, it was, I was just writing it a little bit going like that. And I had a couple of times when I really had this. One time I was in bed with one person and I literally saw another person for 1 or 2 seconds. And then that person came back to be the person that was supposed to be there. But for 2 seconds, it was another person there. And I had other moments where I had really the feeling, no, don't do it. It was really like, an order, something, a sensation. This you're making a mistake, or you have the choice not to do this. Like an advice. You can always make your choice and choose to do it, but I had the choice not to do it, and at that time, I made the choice to do it, which was a mistake. It wasn't a mistake. I learned the lesson. I had a lesson to learn. I had to go through it, but I could choose not to do it. And that's why I received the warning. And another time I had clearly a voice in my head say, no, that's not like that, really. And it was not me. It really wasn't me. And so one day in the year 2010, 11, I had this colleague, and she was leaving. No, I was leaving the company. How was it? No, she was talking about or her experiences with energies and this kind of thing, with um, runes and so. And until she was my colleague, I didn't want to explore anything. But as soon as I was leaving my place for another one, I said, well, why don't we work together? You want to experiment with your runes? Let's do it. Let's see if these runes can um, heal, as you say. So we went. I went, and we started working together, um, and the, and one day there was one day where when we went in France in a enchanted forest. What we can say, it's still a forest where the ancient um, magic, the ancient beings that are living there are still living there. And so it's a very strong ancient um, forest. And as soon as I was there, I put my feet on the path leading, entering this forest. I had this experience of seeing myself walking there in another life. Which obviously meant that I was there. And then there was that day in Cambodia where I was visiting, I was in the temple in Siem Reap, Angkor, and I was, for the first time in this life, um, walking, so visiting this temple. And as soon as I was up the stairs and up on the top of the temple, I had this feeling, this impression of really, dizziness. My heart was just, it was like being in another, like if time was just stopped around me and I was between two times, or two two times coming together, I don't know. And um, I realized that that was my temple, in the sense that one of my um, previous lives, one of my incarnation was there. And so but I was not yet, really questioning. I was more learning and going on with my life, having these experiences and um, things that are not possible, but that happened. They happened. It happened. And religion says, no, they can't happen. And still they happened. I'm not crazy. I'm not. But those things happened. Which to me means that the religion is wrong. One of the reasons why religion is wrong, or not telling the truth, or just changing it, or, giving you a version that is the version they want to give you, but at least not giving you the answers, keeping them, if they have them, keeping them for themselves. And so, I mean, because, you know, I'm someone that goes to the bottom of it. If religion says things in a certain way, and that reality shows you that things are different than what religion says, it means that the religion is wrong. I'm not wrong. I'm not. I will not question myself. I will never, ever, ever, ever question myself, because I have sanity, and which means that whatever happens to me, I accept it and I'm not denying it, which is really very important, because I know that I am trustworthy and I'm faithful to myself. So I give to myself the truth as I can have it. I'm not trying to lie to myself. Why? Why should I lie to myself? Pretend things? No, no way. Many people do that. I don't do that. Therefore, when things happen in a certain way, why should I question it? I witness it. I'm witness. I'm witness of those things being a certain way. Those things happened. So at that point, there is only one thing to do, is to question, and you can do as many people do, refuse reality, refuse what happened, or you can do as me, and this is something that few people, really rare people, we are rare, do it, not to question oneself or what happened, is to say, this happened, what does it mean? Where does it lead me? Where do I go with this? And to break the walls. Obviously, I realized that all my life there have been walls that have been built around myself, the true self that I am, in order for me not to see that. Because what you have to see, it's the reality that they tell you to see. The religion and politics and all this bullshit say to you the way you have to live, the way you have to believe, the way it is. Reality is not what you perceive, but what we tell you to be. Don't question me. Don't question us. You don't have you are not in a position to question, because we know better than you. You are just an idiot. That's what they say to me, to you, to everyone. That's the real message that you receive from those institutions. So what do you do? And your education is based on that. So, like everyone else, I have forgotten, or I have accepted that point of view up until a certain way, but I started early on questioning, and at that point, well, it was just not questioning. I was going to it's not better. I realized that I had just to go every time a step further. One day I went in Ibiza to see a shaman, which was a great experience as well, of being in a place in her land, in her family land, and to see how things happen differently from what you think they should be. You know, everything you are taught is to believe that you are able to do nothing. Everything it's done from by God, or at least you have no influence on whatever happens to you. You are a victim. That's what you are told. And at some point, I said, I'm not. I'm not a victim. They've tried to destroy me, of course. My family tried, my parents tried to destroy me. And I use the word destroy because that's what they tried to do. But, that's where, when you start to realize things and to accept the way that reality works in another way, it's not just, it's not just that things happen that you have no um, role in it. You just are there as a victim. No, you are part of it. This is the reality. This is the truth. You are not a victim. Nothing happens against your will. And this is a hard thing to learn, because that means that every time you thought that someone was acting against you, making something violent against you, the reality is that that was meant to be and you agreed to it. Not you, I mean, verbally, consciously, or whatever. You agreed to it on another level of existence of yourself, your true self. Nothing can happen without your true self agreeing to it in a certain way. It's hard. It's really hard. I know. Because that has meanings. And there are ugly things happening all around the world to many people. And I'm saying you're not a victim. You are co-creator of that moment. And you don't need to be conscious, because you need in that moment to have the feeling that it happens against your will. Because that's the experience that you are creating for yourself. And then there is karma as well, obviously, which means that karma works in many ways. But I mean, karma works as it's mainly energy has no, not to be polarized. It has to be neutral. As soon as you create polarity, you create karma. And when you have karma, you have to reestablish um, the neutral situation. So you have what we say karma to pay. So there's that too. So that's why things happen. And it's difficult to say, yeah, well, that happens because probably you had a situation from another life that required karma to be paid, or to be, and that's hard too, because in the that means, sorry, that means that nothing wrong is really happening. Sorry. And and that's a very hard position to take, but that's the reality. Why should anyone deny reality? That's my position. It doesn't have to be the position of anyone else. Obviously, that's my reality. And one that talks the way I do knows that every truth is true. on the beholder of that truth. So when someone believes something, even if it's not the real thing, even if they believe in a religion that, I mean, even if, let's not go into religion for the moment, even if they believe in politics, and we know that politics cannot be believed, but that becomes their truth. And every truth is true in the face of the beholder of that truth. So that's fine. Everything I say, you don't have, and no one has to believe what I say. It's fine. Because everyone has his reality, his beliefs, or her. I don't play that game, as I said, what I already said. It's him, her. There is absolutely no difference at the level of the creator. So I'm not playing the game of constantly saying him, her, or that kind of things. Okay? So there is no sexism. It doesn't exist. It's your reality. Don't put it on me. I will not accept it. So, you see, coming from that, I had to learn that. It's not something that comes, and yeah, accepting that point of view, it's not easy. It's not absolutely not easy, and not everyone is able to do it, because you have to accept the fact that things like abortion, rape, death, etc., etc., they have a meaning. They happen on purpose. They don't happen because there is a bad being, or a bad the devil, or a bad spirit, or someone is possessed by the devil, or something like that. It just happen because it needs to happen. One has to have an experience, the other has to pay karma, or both of them have to pay karma, and that's the way it goes. Doesn't mean that it's not, that it's right, or it doesn't, or wrong. It means nothing. It means just that it needs to happen, and it happens. But it also means, as reality is what, from the point of view of what, of the moment, we only have the law of the universe says that there is what, first law, you exist here and now. So you only have now. There is no before, no after. There is now. That's all. So, and every now has an infinite choice. You can choose in an infinite way which other moment to have. So, you see, everything happens. Literally everything. You have infinite version of yourself. So the version of you that experienced that bad thing, and I'm not talking about this, from the point of view of someone that has never experienced anything. I was molested as a child, so I know what I'm talking about, and I know what I had to forgive. So don't think for a second that I didn't have my share of shit. But that's the point. I decided to let it go. I decided that I had to forgive my parents, and that also, from another point of view, there is nothing to forgive. because nothing happened except that we had a moment. We had various moments, and we were co-creators of those moments. So I had my share of responsibility on those moments, and I have my share of responsibility to acknowledge, because we are what? A creator of what? Our reality, our now. So that means that you're not a victim. You cannot be a victim. You have that moment, you live that moment, and the moment is over. End of story. And then you move to the next moment. And it's hard, it's difficult, it's hell. Until you realize what that really means. And that actually you can very easily move on. But until you don't understand this, you may keep thinking that they owe you apologies and whatever. And I mean, if that's what you want, that's your reality, that's all right. If you want to be a victim, that's all right. Be a victim. It's your truth. And that's true for you. You see, I'm not saying that you have to do what I'm saying. I'm not saying that what is my reality, what is also. No, it's not just my reality. It's how things probably work, and I'm using probably so that I acknowledge the possibility that it may be different. That's keeping it open, but I'm not believing that. I know that this is how it is. But I acknowledge the fact that you have your reality, and that's your truth. And you don't have to take mine. So, you see, that's why my path, it's unusual. Because it's much more easier to keep the point of view of many that says I awakened and still don't see that there is no time, and that when you acknowledge the fact that you are creating, you co-creating your reality, means that you are the creator, and being the creator means that you're God. What we call God, obviously that's not the right way to put it. That's the wrong word, but that's the best way we have to understand what we are talking about. We don't have the words. Let's be clear. Our vocabulary, it's not fit for these things. So for lack of better, let's say God. And that goes in the idea, but I mean, when we say that we are the creator, it means really literally that we have limited ways of creation. That's our ability. That's what we are, and that's all. And that doesn't that also include not just us here in this third dimension on this earth. That is true all over the universe. It includes every being in every dimension, in every level of existence. We co-create. And when I meet a being from another dimension, we are co-creating that moment. And as we in third dimension, we have this disconnection, we cannot realize that that co-creation is not a creation just a co-creation just here and now. In this third dimension is a co-creation at levels, many levels. Well, as I said, this is my path. This is my experience. I had those experiences, and I came to the conclusion that what I was told doesn't fit into my experiences. So the truth is different, and I have been shown the way to find answers, and that way was to go inside of me. And that's why I'm saying to everyone, but and that is not just particular to me, it's everyone that wants to find the truth, their truth. They have only one way to go, inside of themselves, to go inside. Every truth comes from inside. Everything that comes from the outside is not real, it's not the truth. Why? Because it's not you. You are what a co-creator of your reality. That means that everything that happens in your life is created by yourself. So if you look for your truth, it can be only inside of you. You are your truth, not others. But you have been taught all your life that the truth is somewhere else. You need validation from other people. Do they validate? No, because you always are looking for validation. As soon as someone validates you, you need someone else to validate it, because it's never enough. But when you go inside of yourself and start looking inside of yourself and finding that truth, your truth, the only truth, well, you don't need any other validation. That satisfies you, because there is no other satisfaction to be found than your truth, yourself. That's the message. That's the reality. Whatever the truth may be, it's inside of you. And when you understand that, you will stop looking for validation from other people, from the outside. No one can validate you. Remember, you co-create your reality, your now. But I will tell you a story in order for you to understand why it's important to look inside of yourself for your truth. I heard there is this guy that was talking about a friend of him that died of AIDS in Africa. And he said that this person died because he stopped taking the pills. But that is his reality. That person died not because that person had to die or because that person stopped taking the pills. That person died in the reality of that guy telling the story, because that guy telling the story had the belief that when someone stopped taking the medicine, the pills, and has AIDS or has the virus, well, the outcome has to, that person has to die. So that person died for him. Because the person that told the story has a reality, a belief, a truth that says that you stop taking the pills, you die. And that happened. That's his truth. And where did that truth come from? From him, from his inside of him. He believes that. That's his truth. It happened. But there is the truth of the one that stopped taking the pill. And that guy that stopped taking the pills in his reality, in his truth, didn't die. Because he didn't die, he didn't need to die in his reality, in his truth. But that's his truth. And his friend, that they saw him die because he stopped taking the pill, had the version of the reality that was reflecting what his belief is. But the guy that stopped taking the pill had another belief that he didn't need to take the pill, so in his truth, in his reality, he kept living. Choose one moment, one defining moment, one moment where the one person decided not to take the pills. Infinite version of thereafter, or of the moment after. You have an infinite version, and here you have two versions. One, he dies; the other, he keep living. Both are truth. One is the truth from the standpoint of view of the one that believes that he had to die, but that's his reality. And the other one is the reality of the one that stopped taking the pills, believing that that was not, that was his reality. He didn't have to die. He could keep living without the pills. Both are truth. On the beholder of that truth. But, and so, and that truth comes from inside of them. Each one of them has that belief, and that belief materializes, has been materialized in a different way. So, my friend, I will leave you here on this truth. And I let you think, wonder about truth, reality, your truth. Why this happened? Why did it happen that way? What was the meaning? And whatever. Doesn't matter. But anyway, you have your truth. And that's all that matters. You just have to acknowledge it and find it inside of yourself. Okay. I leave you here in the love and light of the one only Creator. Bye-bye.